Hello everyone! Magandang araw sa lahat. I am Nichelle Pindihita Agustinez and I'm gonna talk about the 1872 Cavite Mutiny. This is a historical event in the Philippines and I'm gonna present to you both primary sources and secondary sources. So let us ask ourselves, what really happened in the Cavite Mutiny in 1872? And why is this an important piece to the Philippine history and revolution? And as a Filipino, what are the important details we need to know about it? 140 years ago, on January 20, 1872, about 200 Filipino military personnel of Fort San Felipe Arsenal in Cavite, Philippines, staged a mutiny which in a way led to the Philippine Revolution in 1896. Spanish accounts of the events that took place provided by Jose Montero A. Vidal and Governor General Rafael Izquierdo discussed several reasons for the mutiny. One was the dissatisfaction and outrage of the arsenal laborers from their privileges of tax-paying and forced labor. Izquierdo replaced Governor General Carlos Maria de la Torre some months before in 1871 and immediately resigned Torres' liberal measures and imposed his iron fist rule. He was opposed to any hints of reformist or nationalistic movements in the Philippines. He was in office for less than 2 years, but he will be remembered for his cruelty to the Filipinos and the barbaric execution of the 3 martyr priests blamed for the mutiny. The mutineers were led by Sergeant Fernando Lamadrid. They seized the fort and killed the Spanish officers. Fearing a general uprising, the Spanish government in Manila sent a regiment under General Felipe Genovez to recover the fort. The besieged mutiny was quelled, and many mutineers, including Sergeant Lamadrid, were killed. Later, others were sentenced to death or hard labor. Izquierdo used the mutiny to implicate Gomburza and other notable Filipinos known for their liberal leanings. Prominent Filipinos such as priests, professionals, and businessmen were arrested on flimsy and trumped-up charges and sentenced to death, exile, or prison. These include Joaquin Pardo de Tavera, Jose Basa, and Antonio M. Regidor. It was said that the Cavite mutineers got their cue from Manila when they saw and heard fireworks across the Manila Bay, which was really a celebration of the feast of the Lady of Loreto in Sampaloc. When the Archbishop of Manila, Rev. Militon Martinez, refused to cooperate and defrock the priests, the Spanish court-martial on February 15 went ahead and maliciously found Fathers Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora guilty of treason for instigating the Cavite Mutiny. 2 days later, the 3 priests were put to death by garrote in Bagumbayan, now known as Luneta. Garrote was a barbaric Spanish method of execution in which an iron collar was tightened around a prisoner's neck until death occurred. Fathers Mariano Gomez, Jose Burgos, and Jacinto Zamora later collectively called Gomburza. Father Burgos was of Spanish descent, born in the Philippines. He was a parish priest of the Manila Cathedral and had been known to be close to the liberal Governor General de la Torre. He was 35 years old at the time and was active and outspoken in advocating the Filipinization of the clergy. He was quoted as saying, "Why shall a young man strive to rise in the profession of law or theology when he can vision no future for himself but obscurity?" Father Zamora, 37, was also Spanish, born in the Philippines. He was the parish priest of Marikina and was known to be unfriendly and would not countenance any arrogance or authoritative behavior from Spaniards coming from Spain. He once snubbed a Spanish governor who came to visit Marikina. Father Gomez was an old man in his mid-70s, Chinese-Filipino born in Cavite. He held the most senior position of the three as Archbishop's vicar in Cavite. He was truly nationalistic and accepted the death penalty, calmly as though it were his penance for being pro-Filipinos. According to Jose Montero y Vidal and Governor General Rafael Izquierdo, the mutiny was the beginning of the Indios' desire to rebel against the Spanish government and overthrow the Spanish powers in the Philippines so that they can crown a new hari in the persons of Father Burgos and Zamora. These accounts were presented in the form of documentation by Montero and a letter by Izquierdo to the Spanish central government. It should be put in mind that these events took place during the secularization movement in the Philippines, of which powers should be given back to secular priests in governing parishes. Friars at this time are alarmed at notion of the end of their hold of power in the Philippines, because during this period, they were not allowed to intervene in any transactions concerning civil law, governance, and education. Which then comes to account the interpretations of Dr. Trinidad Hermenegildo Pardo de Tavera. In his interpretations, the mutiny was mainly because of the dissatisfaction of the labor laws implemented. Yet, it was also used as an instrument by the friars to shed light on the Philippines so that they can do something about their depleting authority over the country due to them being disallowed to participate in any civil, educational, or government matters. The depleting power made them do drastic actions, such as making the issue big enough to convince the central government of the need to give them authority and control. The death of the Gomburza through their unjust trial or execution has become the beacon of light and hope for Filipinos to start fighting back. Dr. Jose Rizal, in the dedication page of his second book, El Filibusterismo, published in 1891, wrote, "I dedicate my work to you as victims of the evil which I undertake to combat. It is well to remember that the seeds of nationalism that was sown in Cavite blossomed to the Philippine Revolution and the rise of the KKK society.